Okay, so let's get started. So thank you all for joining us for our third Quebec Silicon Valley webinar. We are delighted to obviously have you here. We have a great audience, but also great presenters. And obviously today we wanted to address a very interesting topic, which is this what we think is a paradigm shift in the way innovation is happening now in life sciences. And as I said, we have some great presenters. But before we go into our presenters, we're delighted to have Paul Deblois with us, who's going to give a few opening remarks. Paul is the CEO of Axelis. And she has a wealth of experience in wealth transfer, in innovation and IP tech transfer. So she's more than qualified to give this opening remarks. So Paul, if you're there and you'd like to share your screen, the floor is yours. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, thank you. Very good. Thank you very much, Atim. I don't have a presentation. It's a short, just a few remarks to open this webinar. If you want, because English is my second language, I have written down some notes, so I'm going to go through them. I'm very, very pleased to be with you today. And we hope that this webinar will really shed some light on great initiatives in the province of Quebec going on right now. Those initiatives, as you will see, support innovation development and commercialization of research in life sciences and medtech. Other sectors as well, but today we will focus on life sciences and medtech. Like Atim said, I'm the new CEO of Axelis, which is actually a new organization created by the government of Quebec to accelerate the development, commercialization, and transfer of high potential innovations stemming from public research. Realizing the great potential of public research to foster economic, industrial, and social prosperity, the government of Quebec decided last year to invest even more in the commercialization of research. It decided to create a new organization with the means to become a true center of excellence, bringing together under one roof a pool of expertise in innovation development, intellectual property management, commercialization, and transfer, obviously for deep techs and life sciences, but also for the whole realm of social innovations. This pool of expertise will now be available to all research institutions in the province across all regions. For those who knew the prior TTO, they were only available to the universities that they were attached to. So now this new organization is going to offer their services to all research institutions in the province. Actually, in Quebec, our public research capacity is comprised of over 17,000 researchers, 18 universities, over 20 research centers and consortiums, and 60 centers of applied technology. Our goal is to maximize the impact of this wealth of ingenuity. Axelis will represent a one-stop shop for investors, entrepreneurs, and companies in search of disruptive innovations. Our profound ambition is to make a difference, to tackle pressing problems like climate change and aging population with all the health problems that you know well of. In a nutshell, we will be bringing together science and society. At the moment, facing a highly competitive world in innovation and technology, countries have to decide whether they want to play in and leverage their capacities, or if they want to content themselves into just being spectators and consumers of innovation, important from elsewhere. It is a challenge. You all know that innovation requires talent, intelligence, smart money, and a certain appetite for risk. But not playing hard enough in this game could mean a reduction in the quality of life of a community. Surely, Quebec understands this and is now putting the required tools in the hands of very capable people.
Thanks very much, Atim, and good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, rather. It's my great pleasure to be here, and I try to introduce you to our innovation model, specifically our external innovation model, and also try to address some of the things that Paul talked about in terms of competitiveness and what other jurisdictions are doing and what we're seeing elsewhere around the globe, to give you a perspective of how we as a large healthcare company look at different jurisdictions and how we look at the competitiveness of technology. I think the first thing to keep in mind is Johnson & Johnson's the world's oldest healthcare and largest healthcare company. We have 3 business segments: medical devices, consumer products, and pharmaceuticals. We're unique in that regard. I think you'll run across a lot of med device companies or pharma companies, but rarely do companies have all 3 of the sectors we bring to bear. We have about an $81 billion revenue number, and we spend significantly on R&D. But I think the challenge for us is that our internal R&D isn't sufficient to bring forward products that can sustain that revenue number. But more importantly, for those of us who work in the company, we need to work with innovators to find those therapies. Small companies, entrepreneurs are more nimble, more agile, better able to do discovery research. And their risk tolerance means that they push the needle on things that we as a big company sometimes struggle to do. So the net of my message is that we need entrepreneurs. And so my team at Johnson & Johnson Innovation is scouring the globe, looking for innovation across all 3 sectors for that next paradigm shifting therapy that can make a difference in the lives of patients. And that's where we as a company, where our passion resides. So when I talk about a global footprint, and when you think about Quebec, this is really what you're competing with. We as a corporation are deployed across the globe. The blue dots represent our incubation facilities, JLabs, the organization I work for, 13 sites across the globe. The purple dots or red dots represent our innovation centers, also scattered in 4 places on the West Coast, close to you, Hatim, in San Francisco. We also have one in Boston, London, and Shanghai. And we have a number of other I'd say incubation spaces where we're trying to work in local regions. COVID-19 has really taught us, though, that we need to look for innovation everywhere, and it can come from everywhere. And so we're, in spite of our bricks and mortar footprint, we have become quite expert through engagements like today to meet entrepreneurs where they are. And that's what we want to do. So I think when you think about Quebec and the different regions, I wanted to get across that it is competitive. And there are certain things you can do to increase your competitiveness. And one of those is to focus on that infrastructure to help commercialization. I think the other thing you need to do is focus from a technology perspective and really develop centers of excellence. So focus on the things you're good at. And I think the most important thing is talent. So I think what we've seen throughout the globe, and Hatim, you live this in the Bay Area, is that the pool of talent is deep, and that leads to a number of recurring opportunities with the same individuals. And I'd say in Quebec, in Canada, we don't have that population of talent, and that's a challenge for all of us to think about as we think about growing our ecosystem. So I think it's important to foster technology, foster companies, but also what are we doing to foster entrepreneurs so they can continue to start companies and drive innovation. As Johnson & Johnson Innovation, we really are coming to the marketplace with an open innovation model, meaning we are looking for ways to innovate in a way that's important or makes sense for companies. As I talked about, we have 3 sectors: consumer products, medical devices, and pharmaceuticals. We deal with companies across all stages of their life cycle within these 3 sectors. That means we have to come with a unique toolkit for each opportunity. So people typically come to me and say, what's your typical deal structure? And that's not the way we look at it. We look at each company, each opportunity, and say, what do we need to put in to accelerate this product to get it to a point where we can get that product in the hands of patients? So we have the ability to do flexible deal structures. We do some investing with companies through JGDC, our venture capital group. Through JLabs, my organization, we incubate opportunities. We can invest in some kind of de-risking through R&D collaborations. And later stage projects can benefit from our business development group, which will obviously engage in a licensing transaction, but we also bring significant market access and marketing and commercial expertise to opportunities depending where they are in the life cycle. And especially those late stage opportunities, that's where we feel we can really add value. I think as you think about the Quebec ecosystem, I think you need to, again, think about what you need in each one of these sectors to get companies to a point where they can be successful with strategic investors such as J&J, or they can secure investment from venture capitalists. So I think you need to really think long and hard around how do you filter your opportunities. So it's great to start companies, but how do you vet them? How do you get them? How do you put resources behind the right opportunities? And I think one of the things you can think about is engaging early with partners such as J&J to get that market-facing advice, so you can quickly understand which companies have products which are of value to the external ecosystems and which are making Me Too's or going to run into regulatory and technical hurdles which will obviate their technology. I'm going to close here with just a slide that shows some of our areas of interest in pharmaceuticals, medical devices, consumer, and some of our cross-sector opportunities. The intention for me today wasn't to, it is always to highlight what we're looking for as J&J, but more to give you a window into some of the things you may want to think about as you expand the ecosystem in Quebec and try to source those external opportunities, be it from venture capital or from multinationals such as J&J. If you have questions, I've got about 5 minutes. Unfortunately, I have to leave, but if you have questions, please enter them in the chat and I'd be happy to answer them. Hatim, back to you.
It's an industry who employs 56,000 workers and contribute to 5.8 billion to Quebec GDP. So it's a very interesting ecosystem who is a world leader in AI, deep learning, well positioned in data science and digital health technology. And I will say that because it's, I think we are talking about also the expertise that the Quebec has a very good position to be in the leadership. It's like we say, a pool of talents. And it's also a place for favorable investment climate, Quebec, Canadian and Quebec public grants opportunity. And there is a boom of startup ecosystem with more than 30 business incubators and accelerators. But mostly, no. Do you, okay. So mostly Quebec is an interconnected and intersectorial collaborative ecosystem like no others. And it's, I think, the specificity of the Quebec leadership is a dynamic, resilient, agile, very entrepreneurial mindset. It's open to collaboration, value intersectoriality and transdisciplinarity research. But also, what does it mean and what makes it really unique is that stakeholders from various backgrounds work together to make discoveries, generate new and cutting-edge applications, and develop innovative therapy. TransmedTech is an innovative co-developed within the hospital with users, patients, and stakeholders, focusing on the identified needs. It's an approach that goes far beyond simple collaboration and combination of several disciplines and sectors. So what is it about being a living lab? It's to meet the need identified by user. And I think it's a very specific approach that TransmedTech has been, since only 3 years, manifest a real leadership in that sense. They try to have a solution that did not exist elsewhere. Integrate training in their practice, co-design with stakeholders, and innovation is developed and co-developed in real-life context. All this to create value for stakeholders. So, Institut TransmedTech, the story is 5 co-founders, 30 partners, and the specificity is that the innovation technology is developed in the hospital and in the healthcare system. So with these 5 co-founders, Centre Hospitalier du CHUM, Saint-Justine, Hôpital Jewish, makes it a very unique way of developing healthcare technology. Institut TransmedTech is also 5 mainline activities. So they help students who receive scholarship, professor who are holding TransmedTech research chair, technological platforms, co-development, entrepreneurial, and the new program Innovator in Residence, co-financed also by the FRQ. And they have two transversal focus on artificial intelligence and data science.
Thank you very much for the invitation. So in the context of this, this webinar, which is on paradigm shift, the question we will try to answer, Nadine and I, during the presentation is can academia contribute to drug discovery, and how can we contribute to such endeavor? I think we can all agree that discovering innovative drugs is a daunting challenge. Of course, there are, the needs are there, aging population, very high expectations from patients for both efficacy and safety, and we see that in the context of the COVID-19 right now. Yet the challenge that the industry is facing are not reduced for that reason. There's a lot of them. And I will not go through all of the challenges involved in drug discovery. But what that resulted in the last few years is a change in the way that pharmaceutical companies approach their research and development. And there was a tendency, a strong tendency, to externalize discovery. And I think that's where a few years ago, a bit more than a decade ago, that academia started to find its place into the discovery chain in the ecosystem of the pharmaceutical industry. Traditionally, the basic scientists would make discoveries that would identify new targets, mechanism of disease or mechanism of action of potential therapeutics, and they would publish this information in hopefully high-ranked journals. And then company scientists would scout the literature and find interesting discoveries that could be used for discovery, for translating that into therapeutics. And that would be more or less a random process, a random collision model, which was more or less efficient. It's nice music, but maybe someone is not on mute and is listening
exactly.
to music. Yeah. So this model was not the best, I think. And so I think that one of the ideas that came around, and that this is what we're going to talk to you about, Nadine and I, is that maybe a more efficient model would be what we call, an integrated pre-coupled model, where under a same roof, some of the early step of drug discovery, going from basic discoveries to the steps in between leading to high quality asset would be an improved efficiency model. And so almost a bit more than 13 years ago, we started to invest in such an integrated model. And one of the key step in doing so was the creation of an academic drug discovery unit. And we took advantage of the fact at the time that a number of large pharmas were closing their research site in a number of large cities, and that included Montreal, which had a number of these research laboratories. And we attracted a number of medicinal chemists and biologists who were drug hunters in the industry and integrated them in a basic science institute to provide the tools needed to bring projects to the next steps. And so right now, today, we have more than 65 people in this drug discovery unit within an institute of a total of 500 people. And this includes 15 med chemists and 15 biologists. Over the years, they've synthesized close to 40,000 novel molecules, and we're successful in delivering 4 drug candidates that are currently in clinical trials. And on the right-hand side of the slide, you see different tools and platforms that we have in this drug discovery unit. So more recently, we started collaborating with MILA, which is the Montreal Institute for Learning Algorithm, which is directed by Yoshua Benjo in Montreal, and which involves in the using of machine learning in drug discovery 6 professors of the MILA Institute, and involve also partnership with a number of companies, both small biotechs such as in vivo AIs and MIMS, but also larger pharma such as Roche, Novartis, and AstraZeneca. And the goal here is to use active learning to integrate iterations of experimental assays with machine learning candidate generation, so to identify the best hits, and doing so faster than using traditional screening and methodologies. And quite frankly, this has been quite successful in the last few years. and we are applying this in a couple of programs directed at discovering new anti-COVID-19 drugs.
Michel. So thank you to the organizers for this this invitation. So it gives us the opportunity to present to you the model, the Eric Ricard model. As Michel said, there was in 2008 an opportunity for us to bridge a gap between what we see on the left, target identification, target validation steps, all the way to clinical development studies. And so what the ecosystem noted was that there was sufficient funding in the early stages, and unfortunately for the translational phases, there was a lack of both funding and expertise. And this is where we came about through our creation in 2008 through a federal program, the Centers of Excellence in Commercialization and Research. And IRICOR, we got created by University of Montreal and IRIC to bridge this gap. And more recently, in 2018, we got another grant from the same federal program based on the success that we had made over the years to increase our outreach through to projects out across Quebec, but also across Canada. So how do we do it? Michel, next slide, please. So we provide to the researchers from academic centers the IRICOR solution, and it seems to be an ongoing team, the one-stop shop. So for us as well, this is a formula that we've applied since 2008. It's really to fast forward the research towards the next value inflection point of towards commercialization of innovative therapies. How do we do it? By investing in specifically selected projects in oncology and rare diseases, providing those projects with drug discovery infrastructure that Michel just described at IRIC, but across Quebec as well, we have extraordinary expertise that we don't usually find in academic centers. Project management that we do, because once we invest in a project, we want that all the milestones are rigorously followed through the development of the projects. And all this is done so that we can either license the project with co-developers in the pharma industry or to create new companies. And we have a track record that I'll allude to at the end of the presentation about the successful partnerships that we've established over the years with biopharma companies. Here is just an outlook of the types of exits that and these are selected exits that we've had over the years. So you see at the bottom right from 2013 all the way to 2020. So you see that what we've managed to do over the years, and quite rapidly when you consider the usual life cycle of your typical projects, is we've established partnerships with biopharma companies from Canada, from Quebec actually, with Pharma Science, as well with other companies like Bristol Myers Squibb, which is the longest standing partner that we've had over the years. The initial partnership was established in 2008, and all these more recently we've established partnerships with AbbVie, Medigene, Ipsen. And what the common ground for all these is that those companies came to the table with the research teams because we accompanied them within IRICOR, within IRIC initially as well. A lot of the projects were coming from IRIC scientists. And first, the science was excellent, but as well within all the development, we allowed and we managed those projects so that we could efficiently reach their next value inflection point, so that when the companies came in, we were talking as well the same language as they were, and we brought the projects to a stage and with elements, with parameters that they want to have the excellence that they were seeking for in their usual projects. So they were totally comfortable with working with us, with the research teams, so that we could collaborate towards reaching the next phases of the projects.
Yes. So my name is Jean-Luc Balzer. Sorry for the delay. I'm the CEO of Mesochip, which is a a pre-seed stage startup developing an ex vivo platform to test anti-cancer drugs on human tumors. So I move to the next slide. So in cancer drug development, failure rates are very high during clinical trials, costing pharma billions of dollars for nothing. And one major reason is that the preclinical model, for example, with mice, do not well represent the biology of the actual cancer in the patient. So that's the problem, in fact. So Mesochip addresses this problem by making it possible to use human tumors already at the preclinical stage of drug development. And to do this, a biopsy is cut into hundreds of microtumors fitting into several microfluidic devices, like this one, that they have been designed for an optimized ex vivo culture of the microtumors and for their exposure to several experimental conditions with drugs. Our clients are pharma and biotech companies, and we are testing for them their drugs at a preclinical stage on patient tumors. It is the 3D ex vivo models. It is a $1 billion market, so not so big, but with a 25 annual growth, which is huge.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is a pleasure for me to introduce you to our company, AleoVR, today. Why am I working so hard without seeing any results? Why do I need to see so many doctors? Is there something wrong with me? Why am I so different from others? Am I not smart enough? Sadly, these are the thoughts of many children with learning disabilities. Catherine is one of those kids. During her entire childhood, she and her parents struggled throughout this puzzling situation to find her help for her specific needs. This little girl is my dear sister. Just like her, more than 1 million children across Quebec, France, and the US have similar stories. Among those, 40% of them will drop out before finishing high school. My name is Caroline Bazinet, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of AleoVR. I'm a recent graduate of Polytechnique Montreal with a bachelor in biomedical engineering. Driven by my desire to demystify the world of finance, I also enrich my engineering training with a career in wealth management. As you can see, yes, I could have had a stable engineering or financial career. But if I'm standing in front of you today, it is to introduce you to a project that, yes, is innovative and yes, has the potential to grow, but most importantly, has the potential to make a difference for future generations. AleoVR is a new virtuality tool that supports the education sector by providing digital therapy for children with learning disabilities, like Catherine. We develop innovative exercises approved by experts and designed to optimize concentration by having better control over the stimuli that surrounds our patients with neurodevelopmental disorders.
Questions are raising for you, Ericor, Nadine, and I think Michelle, you really alert everyone on your model. So I think in the audience, they would like to know what are your next challenges. So everybody is very curious of next step.
Maybe I can start.
Okay.
You know, it's very good that we had the opening remarks from Paul, because as you see, the ecosystem, the Quebec ecosystem is booming. There are a lot of initiatives, a lot of expertise as well. So I think one of the great opportunities, I wouldn't say challenge, but opportunity that we'll have going forward is really to bring together our successful models so that they can address the demand, the increasing demand from academics from across Quebec and Canada, fortunately. So that I think a collaboration with Excelis, with all the key stakeholders will be key for us. Michel, you asked for
of course, I agree with this. This is part of the keys for the solutions for some of the challenges. The other challenge is that we're a bit victim of our success right now. And so the pressure on our existing expertise and infrastructure is high. The number of demands from both partners, from big pharmas or from research centers, is increasing. And so the next step is to be able to expand the offer to make sure that we can do that. And I think Montreal is very well positioned to do that in the drug discovery area, because there's a long history of Montreal being one of the center in the world where new drugs were discovered. Not so long ago, hundreds and hundreds of med chemists and biologists were working in the research centers of Merck, of Bristol Myers Squibb, of AstraZeneca, of Boehringer Ingelheim, of Novo Nordisk. I mean, name it. I mean, there was a number of companies in Montreal. And many of these people are still around, and they have trained other people. And so we are very well positioned, very well poised to maintain this expertise, but growing it to respond to the needs and the excellence of the science which is around us. So I think that is a challenge, because resources are always scarce, but we need, I think, investment to go forward with this.
There was a second part to that question, Marie-Pierre, right, about the equity. Someone was asking, do you guys take any equity in those projects when you're involved in?
Okay, yeah, so it's a very good question. So IRICOR is a not-for-profit organization. So anything that, any returns that we have, we need to have self-sustainability from the investment we make. So they're reinvested. So for example, if we invest in a project, it will be an investment. So we wait for returns on investment upon an exit with a pharma partner or through the sale of a startup. And for the equity portion within startup companies, it's a case-by-case basis. So IRICOR, yes, we can, and in some cases, we've taken equity positions in the companies that we've invested in. But one thing that is for sure is it's not our business to invest in, to do ongoing and follow-on investments in companies. There are other organizations that do it, that have the expertise. And this is, again, I go to the expertise of everyone within the chain in the ecosystem. These are the companies, the VC groups, organizations that can do later investments. These are the ones, they are the ones who are going to continue on funding those startup companies.
And I think then to continue, I think part of the success of IRIC model was the flexibility. So sure. It's not a one model fits all. It depends on the opportunity. It depends where the company is. It depends on the type of project. It depends on the risk return evaluation that is made. So there's many possibilities. It can be milestone based. It can be equity based. It can be, there's all kinds of ways that the business aspect of it can be dealt with always the same goal, which is having an impact on the patients at the end of the day. So that is always the goal that we have in mind. How fast can we go to have an impact?
A question for Nadine, Nathalie and Nadine. How you think this shift that we are seeing currently in those models, all of them, are going to stay and maybe make bigger waves? Nadine, Nathalie, which one wants to take the question?
Nathalie, go ahead.
I think the shift start if we just look at the IRICOR models, it's 10 years ago, they were very in advance on everyone, but mainly the shift has already started. So for me, it will stay. And people will work more together. And I think the mode of Living Lab is the co-creation mode, and the one that Institut Transmedtech is developing, and other ones that don't call it Living Lab, but they do it also, will be something that we are looking for. So we look to include the patients, but including the users, including the public instance and the industry. will be something that, for me, it's the future of developing at least innovation and technology for sure. And
Thank you.
Yes, I totally agree with Nathalie. I think this shift has been ongoing and is there to stay, because more and more we've presented our model. We see the model from TransmedTech as well. So researchers see the added value of working with organizations like ours that can bring value and returns for all the stakeholders involved. So it's not only because one of the criticisms that we used to hear in the past is that, okay, so you're taking public money, public investments to just give them to industry, which is absolutely not the case. Because when we have organizations like ours, Eric, Ricor, TransmedTech, other organizations, Axelis that's coming, that is starting as well, we work with the institutions to get returns for all. So, for example, when we establish partnerships with industry, it's not, the project doesn't go directly and only to the partner. There is co-development being done with the academic partners. So there's knowledge transfer between partners and the academic groups. And this is crucial because this is knowledge that they can apply to their own project going forward, to other projects as well. And there's also the funding, the financial aspect, because when there's a collaboration or partnership established with industry, there are returns that are made at the beginning and all through development of the project, all the way to the royalty payments that are made to the institutions, to the researchers, and to organizations like ours.
And I'm sure that, thank you, Nadine. I'm sure that Paul has something to say about that.
Yeah.
You want me to speak about the return on investment? That's what Nadine was talking about, or something else, or the model?
Well, I think what would be interesting is knowing how Axelis is complementing that work. I mean, obviously you have a wide experience in transfer of innovation. So that'll be interesting to know what Axelis is planning to do.
Yeah, certainly there's different models, and there's a place for a number of models within the province. The model that we have at Ericor is focused on a specific sector. So, drug development for oncology and immunology. And we see that type of centers that are very focused on segments or verticals, if you want, and other groups are more general. And so Axelis is a provincial group that will offer services to every sectors. So we'll cover every sector, but we won't develop the expertise in every sector. So for example, Nadine and I have started to speak, and she told me about all the expertise that they develop internally and with some external experts as well. Well, why should Axelis develop this expertise if it already exists at Ericor? Okay, so that's one place where we are looking to partner, and the same could be said with other groups. But since we offer our services to all the research centers, all the universities in Quebec, it makes it easier for these universities to receive the services that are federated, if I may use this word, so federated within one roof. So that makes it easier for the researchers, for the small universities, for example, or in the regions that are out of Montreal. We've focused a lot on Montreal today, but there's research centers in Quebec, in Rimouski and Chicoutimi. Quebec is a very large territory, although the percentage of people living around Montreal is quite a locomotive. So we have to attend to all the research capacities throughout the province, but by federating all the expertise that is available internally at Axelis, yes, but also in different groups. So it's a different way of working where we're not alone anymore, and it's not I think TransmedTech and Eric Ricor have shown that and also the two entrepreneurs that spoke, they showed that it basically takes a village to bring an innovation to market. And so if you bring that to a provincial level, well, Exodus is going to play that role to make sure that that village is working together. You see, so that's why I call it a one-stop shop, but I call it a hub mostly. Okay, so one-stop shop would mean you have everything internally, but the hub means it's a place where people meet and you can connect. So I like to see, I like to talk about ourselves as a major connector, a supra connector.
Excellent. Marie-Pierre, do we have any other questions?
I think we have done most of the questions with the time we have left. We're even past the hour, so maybe a last word. Who want to say the last word from the? I see Ivan there, and I say, Ivan, you should take the micro and give the final words and the concluding remark. Unmute yourselves and express yourself.
Well, actually, for me, it has been a pleasure to work with you the last month to offer to the public these webinars. So I'm more than glad to hear new startups every time, you know, that are going to conquer the world, and how our ecosystem also is helping them to reach new markets or new stages of development. So I think today we had a beautiful panel. Thanks to Dr. Boubier, to Paul, and congrats in your new functions. Thanks Nadine, Cécile, to the team of Miso Ships. Thanks everybody. I'm probably sure that most of you are going to participate at BIOS, so see you there. We can keep the conversation there. Thank you very much, and thanks Guy, that is off screen, but I'm happy to see you all there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Yvon. And again, I think we should thank our hosts, obviously, le ministère de l'économie et de l'innovation du Québec, as well as TransmedTech, for this very insightful webinar. So there's another two for you guys who haven't seen the previous two. We have recordings, and it'll be interesting for you guys to see what, you know, we spoke about Mila Labs, we spoke about l'Hôpital Juif de Montréal, and all the great things they've been doing with TransmedTech. So again, thank you so much for being here. And we look forward to seeing you at our last webinar, the fourth one. But we also would love for you to stay connected to our ecosystem, to TransmedTech. And for those in California, Guy Berthiaume and the Quebec office in San Francisco is here for you guys. Marie-Pierre?
Thank you. I think you said it all. So stay connected. I think this is the last word.
Thank you, guys.
Merci.
Everyone, have a great day.
Merci.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Thanks to our presenter. Bye-bye. Merci à tous.
Bye.